Good morning. This is Jerry3904 on the MX Linux forum, and I'm here to present the first video in a series about the new MX-21 Fluxbox version. This version has never existed before, so it would actually be easier to tell you what isn't new. A great deal of work went on here by the devs and by users to get this into existence, and I'm grateful to everybody for their contributions. What's this about? I'd like to say that Fluxbox 21, it ain't your mama's Fluxbox. It's not like the Fluxbox certainly of 15-20 years ago. It's also not like the Fluxbox that you usually associate. We've tried to modernize it, bring it up to present user expectations without losing any of Fluxbox's usual advantages. What's the basic? What are we going to basically understand before I get into anything fancy? First is the purpose of this whole version is not to contest with I don't know what, but it is to support low resource machines, because Fluxbox, being a window manager and not a desktop environment, has much lower requirements to be able to function correctly. And secondly, and this is important to have the other one, it's to provide a base version of MX Linux that has minimal pre-installed software. So there's a lot of things that you won't find here that you might expect, but it's very simple to install them. I'm going to switch over to the main desktop. You're simply going to go and click on the software icon. That opens up MX Package Installer that you already know, and you're off and running. You can install from there. Second thing that's important is that there's three ways to get to applications on this version: the root menu, the dock, and the panel. So let's take a quick look at that. The root menu, remember, is what we see when we right-click the desktop, and we get this nice root menu. And then right now there's an entry called All Apps that presents a Debian type menu. This is automatically updated when you install, and I'll install and delete for that matter, but you can always click Update Menu to do it manually if you like. So that's the first, is a Debian type menu in the root menu. The second is over here on the dock. This kicks up something called Rofi. It's just looking at the desktop files and listing them out, and it's very, very fast. It remembers what you recently used, and it's real. I use it a fair amount. It's pretty handy. So for instance, even though it's already highlighted, I install LibreOffice. If I just type the first three letters, there's the whole LibreOffice suite. And you can return to launch it, or I can hit escape to get rid of it. That Rofi, by the way, is also attached to the logo key on your keyboard. So the Windows key or the Mac key is keyed to that. Third, and the third way to get there is to what we have used, is to use XFCE's application finder. Here it's down on the MX logo and the panel. And this you're should already familiar with. This is XFCE's standard approach, and it has a lot of advantages. A couple of big advantages, I think. One is that you can see the comment underneath the title underneath the name of the package. So it's not just reporting the name the way Rofi is, or the way the Debian type menu is, but actually showing you the comment, which helps explain what you're looking at. And then if you right click it and click edit, another great advantage is you can actually see what the actual command is. And it's very often you don't know exactly what the command is, and this allows you to get that command when right off the menu. So pretty handy. I use that a fair amount myself. So there's so much for the applications. Third, we have a brand new settings manager. How do you get to the settings manager? Well, we have a brand new settings manager in MX Fluxbox 21, and you can key it again. The system is redundant. It's on the root menu. It's called Settings Manager. Duh. and then it's on the dock, this icon with the MX logo and a gear also does it. And as well, every panel has a wrench icon, and that wrench icon launches the settings manager. You can see the settings manager. It has a link to MX tools that everyone knows already. It has a set of applications with respect to the system, some of which are standard here, and they're different from MX tools. And then a set of user functions that are tied into MX Fluxbox. One very, very cool thing, this was developed by Adrian, and one very cool thing is that he's put in a menu button, an edit button, and that allows you, I could click, I won't do it, I could click that and provide my user password or my password, and then I could actually change the little text document that's driving this. And so you can do anything you want with this settings manager. You can add things, you can delete things, anything that is a desktop file. So that's very, very cool. We like in Fluxbox to leave the user in control of things like menus. And finally, there's a lot of documentation and videos for support. I'm going to show you that in a second, but let me first show you a new app that is becoming available. I'm not sure if it'll be available by the time you see this video, but it's called MX Tour. And these are tabs on the side that you can click and get visual and verbal explanation of what's going on. So there we go. That's what I wanted to do for the moment. I'm going to pause and then we'll turn to something else. So in this second part, I want to focus on how we get the appearance, how you manage the appearance that shows up in MX-21 Fluxbox. Start with backgrounds. The default background wallpaper here is from one of our users. It's a stunning, visually stunning image. We matched our styles to it, and it really works extremely well. It's easy to change. There's a number of ways, but the easiest way is to click here, appearance, wallpaper, and select. But just because I said that, let me go back to my settings manager, and then I'm going to click on backgrounds here, which is what the other one did too. And now I can choose anything I want to from here. These are the default ones. I like, this is a very pretty shot. I can apply that one, for instance. Let me hide this. A very handsome nature shot, and then one that is really kind of extremely, kind of almost humorous, but really neat. Kind of a little light with a MX logo inside. Very neat little item. So you can change it any way that you want. Appearance, wallpaper, select. And let me go back to the default and get rid of this. By the way, notice that when I did this is quite new for this realm. Not only do you select, but you can choose to rotate wallpapers. You'll get a dialog box that comes up, what minutes, etc. We had this before, but I just want to remind you. And you can also choose to put separate wallpapers on each desktop. This was something that we had before as a goodie, but now we've tested it enough, so we have it now. Directly in the menu itself. That's quite cool. I like that a lot, and I use that often to get separate pictures. So much for desktop, for wallpapers. If you want to add your own photo, let me close this. If you want to add your own photo, you can put it into the. Let me take a look at that. You can put it into the Fluxbox backgrounds folder, and it'll be picked up, and you can use it from there. Okay, so much for backgrounds. We have we have a nice new selection But with MX Package Installer, you can install any of the collections from previous versions of MX Linux to add them to the ones that you have. Our second topic is style. It's important that we understand that in Fluxbox, style has a particular meaning. It means the look of the root menu and the toolbar. So if you notice that this root menu has a very particular look to it, and that look is what is the style, is governed by the style. And if we open up, if I open up the file manager, again you'll see that the treatment of the title bar up here is governed by the style that's chosen. This particular one was developed for all MX-21 versions. We think it's really attractive and sharp and modern, but you can change it. Changing that type of style, you can change it by going to Appearance, Style, and here's a list of all the styles that are available. The ones below the little line where it says Toolbar Menu, those are actually used mostly older styles that were developed a long time ago, 10 years ago or so, by Tenor and other people. But then we've added a few versions ourselves that we like. Up above, there's a category called Overlay, and that overlay allows you to set the look of Windows that would be common across all applications. I did a video on this, and you should look it up. It's called Borderline Crazy, but you can determine that all windows will have one kind of border, all windows will have one kind of title bar. One thing that's important, that's new, is this menu font. We had to change the way the style is set, and so if you choose some of the other, take some of the other older, not that one. If you take some of these other styles, you'll see that it's very hard to read, and so you have the option of opening Menu Stop and choosing the universal application, which will increase this thing, so that if I now refresh it, I can have now readable menu, even though I've switched styles. So I will switch back to style MX Comfort, and now I have to go back to my menu font and let the style drive it, and refresh, and now I get that style back again. So when you switch to an older style that has its own highly unreadable, you have the option of choosing to choose a universal overlay that forces that style to follow some more larger rules. Okay, so much for style. Now the way Windows are dressed is primarily a question of theme. So let's take a look at theme. We could get it off we can get it off our settings manager. Let's get used to it. And this is called Customize Look and Feel. And here we have the option of a variety of themes that come pre-installed. MX Comfort is a theme that was developed for MX-21. It's brand new. There's a dark version that I like very much, and I'm going to apply that so that we can see. Sometimes when you switch styles, you need to actually not either refresh or log out and back in to have it affect all windows. But now we're looking at MX Comfort dark style, and it's a pretty nice style. I use this one all the time. The light one for me is kind of hard to deal with. All right, I'm not going to close it. I'm just going to minimize it here. So much so for style and theme. And now I want to take a look at the panel that here is at the bottom of the bottom of the screen. We use the word panel, or we call a traditional toolbar, to talk about this way of dealing, a modern one. But you can get the original Fluxbox if you go to Appearance, Toolbar, and choose Fluxbox's original And that's what the original Fluxbox toolbar looked like. And if you like that, you can go ahead with that Fluxbox. I'm going to return to the new one, which is, we call it traditional, but which is this whole set of panels available through an application called Tint2, T-I-N-T 2. It's a highly configurable, highly creative panel approach. And it's this particular one we're looking at was developed by a user to match the style. It's very handsome, I think, but we can get to it just by, we have an entire collection. It's not huge, but we have about 8 or 10 preset different panels that you can choose from. So let's open up Settings Manager, and here's the Tint2 Manager. This is a complete rewrite of a really excellent application developed by Bunsen Labs people, and we've expanded it and changed much of it, and so we call it Tint2 Manager. So I'll click on that, and here's what it looks like. We have a set of actually 2 docks and I think 8 or 9 existing models for toolbars, and it's pretty straightforward. I can just unclick the one we're using. Let's take the one that looks like the current. I can do vertical up, and now we have this toolbar over here on the left side with the MX logo and going up in a standard, and that's a nice one. You can vertical down, of course, reverses it. If you like to look at something that looks very much like, I don't know, other things, you can choose kind of a traditional look here for this one. I developed this one myself, so it's quite a favorite, which is called Simple Clean. Whoops, didn't hit the wrong button. Simple Clean. And against a dark background, this is very effective with just that. Anyway, I won't continue. You can play around. Each time you're going to have to check the box and click Apply for the thing to come up. There are, by the way, also 2 docks here because you can use Tint2 to create docks, and this will just give you an idea of what to do. One thing about this is that the edit and the config, edit pulls up the text file, and config pulls up a really superb, highly complicated, kind of highly accessible way to change, to configure the one. If you like Tint2 but you want to change something, then that's the way you do it. I will show you one quick, this is in the documentation, but you will notice that the clock down here is set to AM, PM kind of thing, and if you want to change that, you could click on the edit button. Up pops the text file. You scroll down until you find clock. There it is, clock. And then here, time format. This is in the documentation, so you don't have to remember. You can just change this. What did I do? And save it. And then apply it. It looks the same, but now, I'm sorry, it was silly me. It's in the morning here. Now it's set to sort of European time, world time, 24-hour clock, and not just a 12-hour clock. But that's a handy thing. It's usually the first thing users want to do. So this is a very nice item. You're going to want to pay close attention to it. Okay, that's about it. I want to first end with a little bit, just a quick note on support. You have a link here to the MX Fluxbox video set. This video will be there by the time you actually see it. It'll be listed there. We have this documentation which brings up the MX Fluxbox documentation. This is translated into 10 different languages, and if your language, if one of those languages is what you're using, it should come up in that language. The translations come from deepl.com, D-E-E-P-L, and we have a pro membership, and we very much appreciate the work that they have done into it. You can also get there by using Alt F1, sorry, Control F1. That'll bring up the same documentation. And then if you use Shift F1, you'll get the actual MX Linux User's Manual, where all sorts of things like installation, etc. are described. And so both of those are pretty useful. All right, well, enjoy. Let us know what you think. I'm going to be doing a second video in the next couple of days, and I hope this works for you.